Answer me this question. What makes dance music compared to a hip hop track? 4 on the floor kick, those skippy 909 hats? Yeah, but in my opinion, it's automation, and that's what we're covering today. How can we make our elements breathe and come to life? In my opinion, this is at the heart of all dance music, and this is the reason why we can create full 6-7 minute tracks of the exact same loop going over and over and over again. So this one is a very useful video, and I even might make more videos on just automation. So like, comment, subscribe, share this with a friend who needs to learn more about automation. And yeah, enjoy the video.
Boom! We are back, and hopefully this should be the final episode of this tune, but if not, it's alright, we'll make another one. But today's episode is completely about automation. How are we going to get this track sounding like one piece of song rather than a bunch of loops, a bunch of scenes put together? And my answer to that is automation and micro arrangement. So first of all, automation, automating parameters for different settings for a specific instrument. So the first one that sticks out to me is I do think it would be very useful to have a drum cutoff. So I'm going to create drum bus, right? Let's get all of the drums through to here. We're not really going to add any more drums realistically, so. And now I'm going to put on, actually no, let's go with the parametric EQ because it's just a bit easier to work with. But I'm going to change it onto this cut. If it's the drums, I'm going to cut it at about 180. And then this is going to be our filter. So I'm going to drag up with the scroll wheel till about there, get a nice resonance. And kind of have that effect in our track. So if we create automation clip, so we're going to start off with the drums. One bit of advice I would say with automation is not always, but it's a good idea to start with automation that's quite obvious to you. So like for me, this was the most obvious bit of automation I wanted to do. And then once you go, right, is there any more automation you should do? Go through like each group by group. So your low end group, kick and bass, drum group, vocal group, synth group, and maybe effects. You might want to automate that, I don't know, but yeah, if you can go through it like step by step like that, it becomes a lot easier and it becomes a lot more apparent, right? What can we automate from these groups that will change the feeling of the track? Mainly you want to automate the main elements of your track. So I speak quite a lot about the 5 main elements in a song. If you can sort of, maybe not the drums, the kick, but the bass, the main synth, the main vocal, if you can get a nice bit of delay, reverb, filter kind of automation going on there, you're like 50-60% of the way there. So let's move on and get this drum sounding nice. So I didn't show you like the changes I made. So just before I jumped on, I added this string using the minor chord of our scale. Then I added this just to kind of help tie this bit together. Didn't even mean to add that one actually. I meant to add this one. It's the fucking same thing, I'm a fucking idiot. It's this one. Yeah, so cool. That's kind of filling out the gaps a little bit there. So now let's find strategic areas where we can change this cutoff. So let's try here first of all. That's cool. I don't mind that. I might come and edit that again, but yeah, I'm leaving that for now. I feel like because we've got the filter on there now, we might as well add all these drums back in it. Yeah, man, I'm liking that. So maybe this bit here. Let's just see what this sounds like. Let me just try to sort out my RAM because I feel like the video's not that good while there's loads of clicking. I just recorded loads then. By loads I mean like 10 minutes, but I don't know why it's just stopped. I'm just trying to make sure it's not going to stop again. But yeah, this is where we're up to. Let me just play this drop and then kind of show you what I did. So as you can see, we've got the drum filter and the vocal filter. Sounding really cool. Those two bits of automation lining up really like make that drop a little bit more tension filled. I don't think that's a real word, but yeah. Hopefully that makes sense. So let's just see if later on in the track we can sort of have this going on. Yeah. Yeah, man. So, from here, I'm kind of not too... Yeah, you know what? Actually, there's one last bit of automation I will do, and this kind of is a little bit of a staple in my tracks. I always like to automate the gain of the bass, because I think on the dance floor, when you feel that sub like going away and coming back, that's a really big moment, and you kind of feel that tension. It's not just like you listen to it, you feel it. So yeah, let's do that one day. Copy value, hold on. Yeah, so if we can copy the value here now of this and make this value, which was 0 dB, the maximum that this automation can go to. Now we know every time it's here, it's at the volume we've set it at. So basically, when it's at the top of the automation, now that I've changed that, it will never go above 0 dB, which is ideal. So now, the other thing we want to do, how much do we really want to reduce it by? I'd say 6 decibels. So I don't want the automation to go any lower than 6 decibels. So I'm going to change that, go over here and copy the value of the gain, paste that as our minimum, so that every time it goes to the bottom and back to the top, it's never going to go below minus 6 dB, and it's never going to go above 0 dB, which is really helpful and saves a lot of time. As you can see here, it's keeping it at that volume. So let's see sections where we can sort of manipulate the sub. So I'm just thinking the breakdowns. I don't think there's a need to do it anywhere else other than the breakdowns, because the bass is so integral to the groove. And if you're doing it anywhere but the breakdowns, it might just feel a bit weird. But feel free to explore that. What I say is not gospel. You know what? I kind of want the low end to go a little bit further away, so I'm gonna change this down to 30 now, and let's re-listen. You know, but everybody's not down with this connection. You know, but everybody's not down with this. I guess you can say I have a higher source. I might even add the hypno hats here as well. Just to kind of like give the track a little bit more energy in sections that it needs it. Kind of like the way that it just kind of tails off. I might even see if we can add this in here. Cool, yeah, filling out some more of the gaps, utilizing the tools we've got. What's next? So I am gonna add this this bass lowering automation here as well. Yeah, man. So let's now go strategically in order and sort of figure out, is there anything else we can automate? So low end we don't really need to do because we've done it there already. So now I'm thinking let's maybe see some drums. See what we can automate out of the drums. Boom. So I revived my laptop. We're all good. It's running now. Fast speeds. As you can see there, if any's ever wondering, this shows you how quick your laptop's running. It's looking much more healthy now. So, let's not waste any more time. One thing I want you to pay attention to there is how this vocal helps this transition. Because look, if we get rid of this, it feels abrupt. As soon as we add this, it feels way more natural. You know why? Because you're taking the listener's attention away from this clunky sort of change and dragging it onto something else, so that when this clunky kind of change happens, it feels smoother than it is. And you can do this all over your track. There's so many ways you can do this, and this is one of the many ways you can make your track feel less loopy and sort of feel more like a coherent piece of music. So with that being said, let's move on. Let's carry on where we were at and get some automation. I feel like if we put a bit of a reverb on this, like a nice big one, could be cool. Let's try it. If we just get a standard fruity reverb. Oh shit now. Oh my days. Oh, there we go. Sorry. Standard fruity reverb. Put it on about 5 seconds. Little bit of pre-delay. Don't want too much of the highs. I want to cut some lows. I might make it more of a merge. Actually, no, I'll make it quite wide. Sometimes with this setting, it's good to have it in the middle for drums. You know, more of a merged reverb. But for this one, I don't mind having it a bit of a wider reverb. So this is just for that kick snare kind of thing. Torpedo kick snare, some fucking name that. So in sections where the kick's out, that's kind of where I'm looking to do this, because when the kick's out, there's a bit of room for other things to happen. So I'm not going to make this a drastic effect. I'm, if anything, going to put this to about 65. Do this. So maybe. It's a bit better now. Maybe a bit more of a subtle one here. Cool, I'm liking that. Let's think of other sections where we can do it. Cool, it's kind of tying the sections together a little bit there. I'm getting an idea here, maybe have this one. Yeah, man, I like that. It's cool to do those in your tracks, like, it works really well with drums, but it can work well with other stuff as well. But yeah, these little, like, I can't remember what they're called, like the quick sweep ups and downs, there's a name for it, but yeah, they add, like, mini tensions, if you will. I'm going to get rid of that one because I kind of like how empty it goes without it, and then obviously reintroduce this one. Just give it a bit of a different feel. Let's listen. Yeah, okay. So in this second bit here where, you know, the cut-off kind of comes up, let's see how the reverb will affect it. Might move this a little bit here. There. Yeah, fills out the gaps a little bit, that one. Yeah, so this clap reverb is cool. It's just a very powerful effect, so I'm trying not to overdo it too much. The reason why I'm doing this now and I've changed it is because now that I've actually taken into account the other vocal, it's probably cleaner to have this one duck down whilst, you know, this one's getting quite busy. And if we sort of have it going over the phrase, if you will, when I say phrase, I mean 1632 bars, a scene, if you will. When it goes across scenes, like especially, so like, we could have done it like this, and when the phrase starts, we do that. But instead, if we do this, again, adding to that feeling of not just blocks of loop, one coherent piece of track. just a little idea now. I might even change the baseline for this first 16, if you will. Actually, no. We'll change it for the first 2, and then just keep it the same for the rest of the track. So how are we gonna do that? I want to add some more high notes. So. Yeah, cool. It's a subtle difference, but now yeah, there we go. It's again quite a subtle change, but it should help things stop getting stale. Nah, it sounds weird, doesn't it? Yeah, it's just not quite right, is it? Yeah, so it's a subtle difference, but it just keeps it a bit fresh then. What am I thinking next? That's the thing. So we've done one of the drum loops. Is there another drum loop that's quite interesting? Maybe a bit of delay on this one. Okay, little idea. Maybe we could add a bit of phaser to one of the drum loops in the breakdowns. Nah, I think the phaser would probably be good if we had something that actually was quite prominent in the breakdowns. Because you see how in the breakdowns we've got the cutoff. Yeah, I don't know. I just don't think it would work. We could do it, but I just feel like it's a bit pointless. I think there's better things that we could automate. Next, I'm thinking is the synths. So let's just worry about the synths for now in the breakdowns. So I need to change colour of that. That's not even a synth. This fem basso, if we can adjust this dry wet, copy value, create automation clip. If we paste the value, it'll always make sure that that value we set before for the the dry wet, that is what the bottom value is, and that just saves a lot of time when you're doing automation in FL Studio. It's like in this section as well, let's just really crank it up to the top. See there, it's just nice, isn't it? I'm kind of half tempted to do this. So when it does the woo thing, cut it out. Nah, it's a bit too empty, innit? It's a bit too empty. Leave it, leave it, leave it. So yeah, keeping it as it is. Sometimes it's good to obviously just like test things. Trial and error is so important with music production. It's kind of how you learn. And yeah, on that case, it didn't work out for me. But next time it might do. So I'm happy with that for now. What else is there that we could probably adjust? Yeah, I definitely say we could do this one as well. I reckon for this one we could even do feedback and output, dry, wet. Paste the bottom value there. Yeah, man. I think it's important to note that with the feedback combined with the dry wet can create a lot of tension. Obviously the dry wet's just how loud the delay is, but sometimes the tension is built with the feedback, and I'll show you guys that now. I'm saying it's always good practice to do what I'm doing here, but yeah. So I'm kind of gonna automate this up, right? But I'm also gonna automate the feedback up. Now I don't really want the feedback to go above, I say 110. So copy this value and paste this as the top of the feedback, because then when a feedback is above 100 on a delay, it's going to add louder iterations of the delay. So a delay is obviously playing the sound, then a delayed version of the sound quieter, and then it'll play it until it gets quieter, and the feedback determines how many times it does that. So when the feedback is above 100, it's not saying, right, play each iteration quieter. It's now saying, right, play each iteration louder. And that's useful for build-ups, but the only problem with that is that it can get a bit messy, so you need to use it carefully. See how the woo is kind of just constantly there now with this feedback? It's because the feedback is above 100. So, I'm going to try and cut it off there because I feel like it's better when it just all cuts off at one stage. Hopefully you can see there how you can use delay feedback. No, how you can use the feedback of a delay to create tension. So let's do it again. Oh, it's not even here this time, actually. Yeah, fuck it. You know what? Yeah, so see, throughout this, we can sort of slowly increase this. Cool. I might even do this instead. Cool. I think that one's fine for now. We might make some adjustments as we build, but for now, it's sounding cool. Cool. So the track's really taking shape now. Let's think. What else could we sort of adjust? Two things I'm thinking. We could do a couple of reverbs here. I'm thinking, you know, for the main switch on vocal, let's have a bit of reverb on there. Where's the... I don't know why I'm fucking being slow today. Alright. I'm going to put it at about 4. I don't want it to be too full on. Right. Where is she? There we go. So let's think about sections where there isn't a lot of automation and there's a bit of room for it, because we don't want to just clutter everything up. Maybe towards the build-ups and drops, but yeah, you know, let's not do it too much. So like here, I guess. And it doesn't even come back in till about here, so let's just worry about this. I'm gonna have it cut till about there, and then as this goes up, let's have the reverb go up too. Cool. I don't want to overdo it in this bit because we've got 2 reverbs going on. So when I do the automation for this vocal, I'm not going to do a reverb just because I'm obviously going to add reverb, but I'm not going to do a reverb here, especially. I might do a reverb in general, but here especially because we don't want to overclutter it with too much reverb. But I've had a little brainstorm, and I think it would be cool if we did this. Have we got... Yeah, we've got one here, right? If we had a little reverse into here. Maybe it'd be cool to do this like throughout the track, but I think for now, just there's fine. Let me see if there's any other spots, but probably not. Yeah, I'm just thinking them 2 spots really it's needed. Other than that, it's fine. Cool. Let's focus on that big vocal then. So, obviously, one thing that sticks out to me is how... I guess you could say I have a higher source. How it cuts out just abruptly. So we kind of need to add our own delay to that. I guess you can say I have a higher source. So it needs to kind of follow that higher saw.
I guess you can say I never.
So I don't want to clutter up the mix too much. So we're going to create a send for this. I'm going to call this main Vox delay send. So now, if we go in here and have a delay, turn the wet all the way up and turn the dry down.
I guess you can say I never. I guess you can say I never. High. I guess you can say I never. 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 High source. I guess you can say I never. I guess you can say I never. High source. I guess you can say I never. High source. I guess you can say I never. I guess you can say I never.
There we go, right, we found the right delay for it. So now, this is the trick. We're going to go into a compression plugin. I'm going to use Track Spacer. And sidechain it to the main vocal. So we're going to sidechain the delay to what the original signal is.
I guess you can say I never. High source. I guess you can say I never. You know, but everybody's not down with this connection. You know, but everybody's not down with this connection. To the funk. I guess you can say I never. High source. I guess you can say I never. You know, but everybody's not down with this connection. You know, but everybody's not down with this connection.
There we go, right. So now let's listen to the track.
I guess you can say I never. High source. I guess you can say I never. You know, but everybody's not down with this connection. You know, but everybody's not down with this connection. To the funk. I guess you can say I never. High source.
Cool. So I guess one cool way would be to automate the feedback. We might then need to automate the dry wet, but we should be fine. I feel like I'm not going to go overboard with this anyways, so I would rather just keep things simple on this front because, you know, there's quite a lot going on already, and if we just start over cluttering it, as I said before, you want the automation to be doing a lot of heavy lifting, but you don't want to just muddy up the track too much with delays and reverbs especially.
I guess you can say I never. High source. I guess you can say I never. High source. You know, but everybody's not down with this connection. You know, but everybody's not down with this. I guess you can say I never. High source.
Exactly, like there's so much going on now, like the delay is absolutely tanning off.
You know, but everybody's not down with this connection. You know, but everybody. To the funk. I guess you can say I never. High source. You know, but everybody's not down with this connection. You know, but everybody's not down with this
to see like that bit there, we could definitely just turn it up. Really trying to perfect the automation here, make it just sound clean. Like, it's so important to get this automation clean and make things not overlapping. It's what makes the track professional, is that level of detail. It's so important. So, obviously, I'm not speaking too much, but the key principle here is that it does take a while to it takes a lot of re-listens to sort of get the automation right. Yeah, cool. So things are really coming together nicely now, and it's getting to a point now where I feel like I don't want to overcloud things too much. So let's leave the automation for here now and come back to it in our final 10% phase. For now, let's move on to the effects.